What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, I mean, this is our second one. We on a hot streak, second one in a row. So,
I promised you we'll be back in April.
yeah.
Look at us.
And look at us back.
Look at us.
Like we ain't never left. Hey, today is a fun one. We are here at the Cultural Center, and we here with our guy Geoffrey Baer.
Your favorite and our favorite.
Yeah, for the fourth time. About the Beat Shot Food Locals record.
That,
yeah. He has a new episode, new show coming out.
Today.
Today. Later on tonight if you're watching this on Monday. If you're watching it after Monday, it's out now. It's called Touring the Lakefront. And it's exactly what it says.
Yeah. We know that the Lakefront is one of the gems of one of the coolest parts of living in a city is being able to be in the Midwest and having seasons, but also having a beach.
Yeah,
it's like one of my favorite things. So having a whole show that focuses on the lake and touring the lake.
A lot of different things that go along with it. Chicago, if y'all don't know, Chicago got 26 miles of lakefront. Some of it is eroding. Most of it is man-made. Most of it is man-made. And a lot of it, like you said, is beaches. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people realize we got that many beaches.
I think a lot of people around the country don't realize that.
A lot of people don't know.
Beaches.
Like y'all don't. Y'all do. Do y'all be listening?
Do y'all be listening?
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go inside, which is also really cool because last time we tried to get up in here, they kicked us all the way out.
Correct.
Actually, we didn't get kicked out because we asked and didn't get a response.
And they said no. But we got permits today.
You know what I'm saying? We came with our papers.
We got a WTTW permit.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, hey, look, shout out to WTTW, window to the world. We in the door. Hey, let's go inside and talk to Geoffrey Baer, catch up with him. It's been a while. Let's go.
I love that we decided to do the cultural center because it's literally on the lake.
Yeah.
Which, because your new show that came out today, which is the day the episode is going to air, is all about the lake.
The lakefront, yes.
We're at the lakefront. The lakefront.
In the lake, I guess you could say the lake.
Yeah, no
too.
One's diving deep into the lake.
Well, we dive a little bit into the lake.
A little. Okay, so tell us a little bit about how the show came about, why the interest in the lake. I feel like you've done so many about the beautiful places in Chicago. Those are my favorite shows.
Oh, thank you.
And I feel like the lake is like a beautiful place, but it's all over.
Yeah, I mean, I always say I always say the lake is like our one natural feature in Chicago. You know, it's pretty much a city that's human made.
Right.
And you know, it's a swamp. So really, I mean, the lake is our Rocky Mountains. You know, it's our Grand Canyon. It's the one really spectacular, dramatic natural feature. And I think even if you live in the western suburbs, you know, you still feel some connection or ownership or pride in this is your lake, you know. And so we've done, you know, I've been doing these shows for 30 years on WTTW.
Which is crazy because you look like you're 40.
I've been doing these shows longer than you've been alive. So, and so, you know, early on, we did a lakefront show. It was it was in the late 1990s.
Which is
98. It was 1998.
It changed insanely since then.
Yeah. So then we did it again in probably 2008. I'm guessing somewhere around there. You know, right, Chicago's such a dynamic city, things just change so much that, you know, and I change.
Right.
So, you know, and we rerun shows a lot. So after 6 or 8 years, we just can't rerun the show anymore. I have changed, everything's changed. Yeah. So, you know, in a programming meeting, one of our programming leaders said, you know, hey, we need to do the lakefront again. You know, people love learning about the Chicago lakefront. This is our program director, Lisa. She said she hasn't aired the old program in years because it's outdated.
Right.
And she'd love to have a lakefront show again. And so what I think we wanted to do this time around was just something different. you don't want to keep recycling the same show over and over again, just like sort of freshening it up.
Right, right.
And so I worked with a producer named Mike West, who's great. And Mike really felt like, rather than having it be this sort of sweeping one end to the other tour, where it's almost like skipping a stone across the water, where you just get a little bit, of a very broad or very, very long range. Let's just pick a few good stories and go more deeply into them. Dive deeply, if you don't mind the pun. And that's what we did. And I do things in this show that I have never done before.
I was gonna say, you start the show on a commercial flight.
Yes.
Is that real?
No.
Okay,
so
I'm like,
yeah, I mean,
plane.
we wanted to come up with a beginning of the show that, I mean, almost anybody could relate to. And if you've ever flown into Chicago, and I suppose most people by this time have flown at some point, and they've flown into Chicago. If you're lucky enough to be coming from the east, you're going. You see the lakefront approaching, and you see this amazing view. If it's nighttime, it's this grid of lights. If it's daytime, it's the beautiful views of downtown Chicago and the sweeping lakefront parks. And we thought people could relate to that. So how about we start on an airplane?
Yeah. I want to know who took the picture.
I did. Those were
did
mine.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Mike originally was like, okay, maybe we can get United Airlines or somebody to agree to let us just get on a plane and film out the window. And Mike and I are both, it's not our first rodeo in television. We've been doing this a long time. And both of us are like, yeah, that's going to give us 30 seconds to make the shot that we need to get, which is ridiculous. So let's try to figure out how we can do it on a parked airplane. So United Airlines, thank you United Airlines, gave us they figured out there was a flight that would come in, and then the plane would sit at the gate for about 4 hours before it would go out again. And so after they'd cleaned up the plane and everything, they let us on board. And the director of photography, Brendan Walsh, is very clever in the way he framed it, so you can't tell that I'm not flying. He's shot it at sort of a low angle, so you only see sky out the window. And he kind of did it handheld, and he moved around a little bit, so it felt like the plane was moving. And then I had flown into Chicago. I don't remember where I went, but I had flown into Chicago a few months before this, and I had actually taken some cell phone pictures out the window, just because I love that view.
You probably have hundreds of those in your phone at this point.
I kind of do, yeah. And so I showed them to the producer, Mike, and I said, so in the film, I look like I'm sitting on an airplane, and then you see me hold up my cell phone camera and take a picture, and then we cut to those pictures. And it's just I actually just watched the show today at a screening, and it's quite believable. You really think I am on a
thought you were on a flight.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, the budget for this one had to be crazy.
And you should have seen the setup. I mean, because when we're filming, we've got an audio person and a lighting director, and we had a bunch of lights and stuff. You can't see any of that, obviously, in the shot. But if you zoomed back, you could see it was a big setup on the plane, which we could never have done if we were on a real plane flying. Well, it was a real plane, but if we were on a real flight, we never could have done that. We would have, the cameraman would have just been sitting in a seat praying that he would get a good shot in the 15 seconds he had to get it.
The audio would have been horrible. Yeah. That's so interesting. I really like that it's the lake because, believe it or not, my best friend of 15 years came to visit me in Chicago 4 years ago. And she was shocked. I was like, oh, let's go to the beach. She was like, you have beaches? She's from Seattle. She's not from a different country. She's lived here her whole life. She was shocked that we have beaches. Do you ever experience that? Do you ever feel like people outside of the Midwest maybe don't realize that we have a huge lakefront?
I think it's kind of common, actually. Yeah. I think most people, if you're not from Chicago, you probably you may not even know that Chicago is on a lake. You've heard of Chicago, but you may not even know that it's on a lake. And if you do, and you hear lake, you picture that little lake where you go for a vacation on your canoe.
Canoeing,
Right, and people are always saying they come to Chicago and they look out there and you can't see the other side,
I'm like, the lake is the type of water, not the size of the water.
Yeah. So no, that doesn't surprise me. I think people are often very surprised when they come and they see that we're on this huge body of water. Some people say, oh, it's like an ocean. I don't think it is like an ocean. Oceans have a whole different feeling.
And it's very scary. I'm not like an open body of water person. I cannot. I'll go like to where I can swim. I love swimming, but it has to hit like maybe my belly button, and then I'm like, we're out, because the second I feel like I can't see under me, it's just too scary.
And oceans have that, there's kind of a roar to the sound of the surf in an ocean, and there's that sort of salty smell. You don't really, it's very different being on a lake.
Yeah. So along the lake, what have been some of your favorite stops from the
Well, so really like the new things, the things I'd never done before. I go fishing. I've actually never in my life, I mean, maybe when I was a little kid, I might have gone fishing once or twice on like a pond or something, but I've never really, ever really gone fishing, like really fishing.
Did you enjoy it? That seems...
It was very interesting feeling. Well, first of all, I mean, I love being out on the water, and just the whole experience of like feeling the fish fighting you.
Oh, you caught something?
Oh, we caught a whole bunch of fish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, we're not going to catch any fish, are we? And this charter boat captain was like, I've never ever gone out and not brought back fish. So I'm like, always the first time. But I mean, we must have caught 12 or 14 fish.
Wow.
And they are big fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
and then
like,
why I don't go in open water.
They're not dangerous fish.
Doesn't matter.
But they're big. They're like, I don't know, if you're only listening on the radio, it's about, or on the podcast, so maybe 18 inches. Yeah, I mean, they were big fish. They were salmon, different kinds of salmon. I can't remember the kinds. And Pacific salmon and lake trout. And the trout are really big.
Right.
And we must have caught 12 or 14 fish.
Wow.
And the first one I caught, this thing is like fighting for its life. And I'm going to kill it. And I'm not a hunter.
Right.
I'm not, I mean, the thing is, I eat fish.
Right.
I eat meat.
You're like, I don't need to see
someone else
how
killed
it. Got
it.
Here.
Yeah. I mean, what right do I have to not to feel guilty about this when when if somebody else kills it, I eat it.
Right.
So, and the guy who was the first mate and kind of the teacher said, this is the most sustainable way to eat fish, because what's unsustainable is commercial fishing, long lining, netting. They catch a lot of other creatures that just die, that they're not even trying to catch. So, I guess, if I eat fish, I might as well not be guilty about catching one.
Yeah.
But it was a living creature, and I killed it, so that felt a little strange. The thing to know, too, about Lake Michigan fishing is there are trace contaminants in the lake. And so scientific community really advises that there are certain limits on the amount of meals of Lake Michigan fish that you should eat per week or per month. Forget what it is. There's if it's salmon, you should only have one meal per week. If it's trout, maybe one per month. Depends on the size and the age of the fish, how much mercury or whatever is accumulated in it. So you can't just go out there and catch up all you want and eat all you want. There's a certain amount of caution that you have to have.
Interesting. I didn't think, just because I think of it as like enclosed by land at some point, that there wouldn't be contaminants, but
well, I mean, there's steel mills and all kinds of
industrial stuff happening around.
Yeah. And it's better, but it's we don't have the same kind of discharge into the lake that we used to, but there's still contaminants in the lake. Yeah.
What's one more thing that you enjoyed?
Here at South Shore Cultural Center, where we are, we went to a rodeo.
Oh.
And it really was my first rodeo.
Really?
It was right, where was it? It was kind of out that way.
It was outdoors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have. I don't know for sure, but I believe they've always had stables here, or at least since the Chicago Police have their equestrian unit here. So there's a paddock and there are stables, I don't know about stables, but there's a paddock for horses. And this wonderful, wonderful guy, Murdoch, the man with no first name, has been running. He's an African-American guy, older gentleman, who loved horseback riding when he was young. He grew up in the area. He learned to ride in the Chicago public parks. And then after he went away to the military and came back, all the equestrian centers had been closed, and he vowed to continue to teach young people, and particularly young people of color, and particularly African-American kids, city kids, horseback riding skills. And these kids were unbelievable. I mean, you could not believe how fast these horses run. And they do barrel racing, and they do relays, and the horses cut these sharp turns. And you look at a horse and you just think, like, how does that horse not break its ankle, taking those sharp turns?
And it's heavy and
I mean, it was really something to watch. And these kids were little kids, and it was amazing to watch them just tearing up the paddock.
What a cool access to an activity that in the city you probably don't get to experience ever. I mean, where would you would have to leave the city to learn, and it's like a luxury experience that you then have to pay. So that's so incredible. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's called Broken Arrow Riding Club. It's really, really phenomenal.
Wow.
And I mean, the other thing about this place where we're sitting right now, South Shore Cultural Center, is it was a country club. It was South Shore Country Club.
And a lot of people couldn't even come in.
Yeah, I mean, white Gentiles only.
Yeah.
And which was very stupid because first the neighborhood became predominantly Jewish.
Right.
No Jews allowed. Then it became predominantly black. No blacks allowed.
Yeah.
And so obviously, not surprisingly, the club went out of business.
Right.
And now it's this public park where, Barack and Michelle Obama had their wedding reception. Yeah. Maybe in this room. I think maybe in the room down the hall.
I think they said it was this room, and then the security guard that checked us in told us that she had her book. When her book came out, it was the room next door that she had her event. And then anytime they're in the city, they like to come here and kind of visit, which is so special. I mean, it's such a beautiful park, and I love that a lot of the lakefront is parks. I mean, you have access to public art on the trail. You have obviously access to park activities like grass. Children's activities. So there's so much to do that I feel like, other than just going to a beach, it's not all fully
Well, and
just
then
beach.
if you're talking about the whole lakefront, the lakefront trail, where you have running. Then they've now created a part that's a running trail and a part is a riding for bikes.
Which always makes me really nervous. I'm like, am I in the which lane am I in?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what's your hope for people to learn from this show or this film? What are you hoping that people get to learn about the lake?
Well, I hope they will come to value and appreciate the lake. And as I say, I mean, it is our one natural feature. And really, in a big, dense urban metropolis, to be able to go not very far. I mean, if you're in a lakefront ward, you're really close. But even if you're in one of the western wards, or in the western suburbs, you can pretty quickly get to the lakefront.
And most buses get all the way, if you're going east-west, they travel all the way to the lakefront.
And and you can literally, free yourself from the density and the hustle and bustle and renew your spirit, by just looking out there at that vast expanse of water.
Yeah.
I also hope that people will learn to, or will think about being good stewards of our lake, because we draw our, not just inspiration, but our water from the lake.
Yes.
And people probably don't or may not know this, but it's a one-way system. The water that we pull out of the lake, we don't put back in because of the hydrology and the sort of man-made way we've reconfigured things in the region, including reversing the Chicago River. Every drop of water that you use to brush your teeth and or flush your toilet and goes down the drain ends up in the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
it doesn't go back into the lake. So even though some say it's the largest body of fresh water in the world, the Great Lakes, it's not infinite.
Right.
And so we need to think about being good stewards, about, people have their downspout connected to the sewer. Disconnect it. Just let your rainwater go soak into the backyard, Think about permeable paving so that rainwater doesn't go down the sewer and right to the Gulf of Mexico and overwhelming our water treatment plants. So I think I would hope people may start to feel a little more responsibility for being good stewards of our lake.
I love that. And for people that didn't catch the show today, the day that it aired, where can they watch it?
Oh, well, it's always online. We have a phenomenal website that goes along with this show and with all of our shows. This one has you can watch the show on the website or it'll be on YouTube. We have a YouTube, WTTW has a YouTube channel. It can also be watched on the PBS app that's called Passport, or there's a component of it that sometimes people know as Passport, but it's the PBS app for streaming. But on the website, we've got a kind of self-guided tour of the lakefront that you can do. There's an amazing web-exclusive video that I just saw today that Mike West produced about people who go swimming in all winter long in the lake. And
I see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, the one guy, I see him every winter.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
These people put on these wetsuits and you watch them go swimming and this guy comes out of the water holding on to a big chunk of ice.
Right.
Which he just breaks up and says, there was a lot of ice out there today. It's like you can't stop watching.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. And those are just two of the many things that we have on the website. That's WTTW.com/lakefront.
Yeah, I will make sure to link everything in the description of this video, or if you're listening to the audio, in the notes of the show. So I'm so excited. I've only seen little snippets of it in preparation for our conversation today, but I'm really excited to watch the entirety of it. I love the lake. I love to observe the lake from a distance. I respect its magnitude. I don't want to be in it, but I'll look at it from afar. And I'm actually going to probably go take a walk after our conversation here, because it looks like a beautiful day today. It's a little gloomy, but I like it. I like a little gloomy lake. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about this. And we'll back to whatever we were just doing.